Hi, it's Mike again. Welcome to the how-to video. Some of you might know I actually make and repair amplifiers, tube amps mostly, but I also will dabble in some solid state stuff too if it's an easy fix. My friend brought this amplifier to me. It's a PV amp that he got off Craigslist really cheap, and it needed some repairs done. And the guy who had it, the tech that quoted him repairs was quite pricey, so he didn't bother getting it fixed. And one of the fixes was a broken pot knob. On a point-to-point amplifier, it's actually quite easy to repair a pot because they're pretty big. You can unbolt them and do the soldering. But when it comes to solid-state amps, usually the pots are actually mounted right to the circuit board. And it's a real pain to kind of take the pots off because you have to drop the whole circuit board. You have to carefully solder all the connections off, and it's a real pain. But I found a solution on how to actually repair the shaft without actually doing any soldering, and I'll show you how I did that. So I actually started the repair here. So these pots here, actually these two are actually broken, and what I do is I actually drill out the middle of the shaft very carefully, and I thread it with a really fine machine screw, and then I put a little adapter on it. So you can see that I've actually done it to that one there on the depth one, and I'm proceeding to work on the rate one on the vibrato channel. To properly do this, you would actually drop the chassis and unsolder all the pots and try to find a replacement one. And typically on older amplifiers, they're kind of tricky to find that match perfectly. I devised a system where it actually is a lot easier just to drill and tap it out and put a little extension shaft on there, put some Loctite on, and it actually holds pretty good. So I'll show you how I do that. So this is the replacement shaft that I put on. So there's a little bit of the barrel with the hole on it. The machine screw goes through it, and then it just protrudes out the back, and then I put on some Loctite on it and just screw that in. Right. So these are the tools I use. I use a Dremel with a cutoff wheel, a file to make it smooth. I use a 1/16 drill bit to start the hole. I use a 3/32 drill bit to do the hole for the tap, because that's the perfect size for a 4x40 tap. So then I use a 7/16 to actually drill out the shaft for the machine screw. So that hole in there is for the machine screw. And then I use an automatic center punch, a screwdriver, again the tap with the 4x40, and then some 4x40 by half machine screws, and then red Loctite. So to make the replacement shaft, all I did was take a piece of aluminum round, and I turned it down to the same diameter as the existing shafts, and then I drilled the hole out, which is the same diameter of the 4x40 by half machine screw, which is actually a 7/64. And once that's all done, I just cut to length, smooth it with a file, and then screw it into the hole. So the process would be take this little zip disc and make a perfectly straight cut down, and then you could probably take a file just to make it a little smoother. Once you got it cut down, I take a center punch and mark the hole perfectly in the middle. Center punch is so the drill, when you drill the pilot hole, that it goes perfectly in. And then what I do is I start with a really small drill bit, and you only have to go in about 3/8 of an inch. So once I got the small hole done, the pilot hole, I actually use a 3/32 drill bit. And once that drill is done, I tap it in. We will put the special barrel that we made in with the Loctite on and put it in place. So I'm just tapping this out. You only have to go in about 3/8 of an inch, and it does a pretty good job. So I'll just bring this out. So now the threads are tapped on that, and now this is aluminum, so it's very soft and it's easy to machine. And now that literally took me about 10 minutes to do from start to finish. Now I would agree that the proper way to do this is actually to solder in new pots. But that is a lot of effort because you actually have to drop the chassis, you have to take all the knobs off, unscrew everything, undo all the bolts that hold the circuit board in, flip the circuit board over, unsolder the pots if you can get them out all in one piece, and then order new ones, and then reverse the process and put it back together again. That would probably take me an hour or two just to get to that stage, and that's probably why it was up for so cheap on Craigslist, because the previous owner probably took it to a tech and they quoted him that much to replace that pot, And when my friend saw it, he asked my opinion, what can we do here? And I had a brilliant solution of how we could just reshaft those pots. So I hope that inspires you to try something like this too. And once again, thanks for watching.